Hi there, it's Professor Monty, and let's talk about division of complex numbers. All right, the big key here is that when we're divided by a complex number and we have the two terms here, we want to multiply by the conjugate, which is the same thing as we see here, except just change the sign in the middle. So the conjugate of 2 minus 7i is going to be 2 plus 7i. And of course, whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. Multiplying by 1 doesn't change the value. But this is essentially like the difference of two squares. So it's factoring in a minus b times a plus b. Well, that came from a squared minus b squared. And I'll show you what I mean when we multiply it out. So on the top, I'm just going to distribute. We're going to get 8i plus 28i squared. On the bottom, 4 plus 14i minus 14i minus 49i squared. And notice those cancel out. They're always going to cancel out if we multiply by the conjugate. Notice also, if this is a minus b, a plus b, this is a squared, and this is b squared. Okay? So it's a squared minus b squared. That's all you can do, and you can skip that as long as you remember to change the sign there. I always just FOIL it out because it takes an extra few seconds. It's not a big deal. And if I forgot to change the signs, these don't cancel, and I know I made a mistake. All right, anyway, let's continue from there. Remember, we can't leave I squared. I squared is always negative 1. So this turns into 8i minus 28. 28 times negative 1. So 8i minus 28. And the bottom, I get 4 plus the negative times the negative 1 cancels, plus 49. Now, usually we're going to reorder the top, negative 28. It's not negative 28. Negative 28 plus 8i. And on the bottom, I'm going to get my 53. And we want to write it in the form a plus bi, kind of like this was. Well, so we just break that up as two separate fractions. Negative 28 over 53 plus 8 over 53i. So the 8i over 53, I just pulled the I out in front, so it looks like a plus bi. So I see, oh, that's a, the negative 28 53rds, and b is 8 53rds, and then the I at the end. All right, so that's the key, is multiplying by the conjugate to get the i's to cancel out. And then the I squared, we just simplify to negative 1. Over here, we have another problem. There's only a single term on the bottom. So in this case, I'm not going to multiply by the conjugate. I could, but it's going to be easier just to multiply by I over I. I want to get an I squared so that it'll cancel out and become a negative 1, and the I will disappear. So I do something similar here. I'm going to multiply that out. I get 4i plus 5i squared. And on the bottom, I get 3i squared. But remember, those I squareds are just negative 1s. Now, I'm going to do that, but hopefully, in your head, either right away or quickly, you'll be able to say, oh, 5i squared, that's negative 5. 3i squared, that's negative 3. So what I have is 4i minus 5, and then minus 3 on the bottom. Again, we want to change the order. I'll go negative 5 plus 4i over negative 3. Then I'll break it up into a plus bi form. And then just simplify. Here, we'll put it here. 5 thirds minus 4 thirds I. Let's erase that and get that as a nice looking 3. And again, I'm in a plus bi form. Okay, that's the idea. They don't want i's in the bottom because remember, I is the square root of negative 1, and we can't have square roots in the denominator, so we can't have i's in the denominator either. All right, hope that helps. Practice these. You'll get them pretty quick.